Here's the 411, folks.
Welcome back to the 411 podcast. I'm Pat Daly. To my left is my friend Will Casey.
Happy to be here.
And below me is Mr. Michael Quattramani.
It is always a pleasure to be here.
First off, happy Turkey Day, my friends.
Happy Turkey Day.
A great day. One of my favorite holidays. Always a little bit of a slept-on holiday, but happy Turkey Day. Football, small group of family, food. Things couldn't be better. How are you, boys?
I'm feeling great. I'm predicting a
fantastic
podcast today.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not be excited about a podcast? So, I mean, let's just get right into it.
We're
Why
feeling
not?
great. We got some great stuff on tab for today. So here's the deal. Pats Texans. Oh boy. Oh no. Okay. We're going to talk Pats Texans.
Well,
A lot. I think there's actually a lot to talk about there, and I think we're going to get into it.
negative.
Pats Cardinals. This ain't no gimme. We're obviously going to get right into it. Per usual. We're actually not going to talk about fantasy this week, and we're going to be getting into Thanksgiving games. So that is Lions and Texans and Cowboys and the Washington football team. Sadly, because of COVID, the Ravens and Steelers game got pushed to Sunday. And finally, to finish it off, we have pretty simple one hot take each. So we're all just going to say our take, and then we're just going to talk about it. It's going to be good. I mean, honestly, I'm really excited for that part. I'm going to hand this one off to Will. Pats Texans, how do we feel?
All right. This game was obviously winnable. I think there's a few takeaways, especially about Cam Newton in this game. I think he's just not clutch. I'm convinced it's a gene, one that Tom Brady had and one that he just doesn't have.
Yes.
He's been having trouble escaping the rush. He's like 6'6", and he can run. I feel like he should be able to escape the pass rush a little bit better than that. Although his arm looked great in this game. I think this might have been one of his best passing games all year. Mm-hmm. He was 26 for 40 on 365 yards and a touchdown even. I was very impressed.
Mike, what do you think?
His 365-yard game? Tell me that's not impressive from Cam Newton.
I mean, 60 of those yards did come on a garbage time play, and they did play from behind for virtually the entirety of the second half. I think this game was, for me, it's the nail in the coffin. I mean, the Patriots have officially proven they cannot play consistent football. So, for reference, you go out and you beat the Ravens, who completely wiped you last year, only to then lose to the Texans, who have 2 wins on the season. Both those wins coming against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our offense looked fantastic this game.
Fantastic?
No, our offense.
It looked pretty good, Mike.
The problem was the defense.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I was doing my notes. I watched the highlight video that NFL puts out after every week. I don't think I saw one Texans run play in that highlight video. Every single game for over 10 yards was a pass play.
Yeah.
They didn't run the ball at all.
It was completely
Nor did the Patriots.
Okay, that's my next point.
Yes, I think Will and I are on the same exact page. And Will, we could tag team this. But the thing that really annoyed me about the Texans game was this. You go out and you get a great 7-0 lead on a 10-play drive, mostly running the football early in the first quarter. What was that? Say that one more time.
That was a fantastic opening drive.
Yes, it was great.
Patriots.
Especially with the Patriots not being able to play well in the first quarter, it proved a lot. And then, Deshaun Watson does Deshaun Watson things, marches down the field and ties it up at 7 apiece. Mm-hmm. But why is it that after that, you have to throw your game script out of the window and just try to get into a shootout with, in my opinion, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? They completely abandoned the run game. So my question to Bill Belichick and McDaniels is, do you really think that Cam Newton is going to be able to emerge victorious in a shootout against Deshaun Watson?
Here's how
you did say that they were playing from behind for the majority of the game. Mm-hmm. So that's got to be part of it.
It's got to add to the
Cam Newton was throwing the ball.
But why is he throwing the ball?
You're saying they're behind because Cam Newton was throwing the ball?
Yes, because at a 7-7 game,
it wasn't throw any picks, Mike.
What?
He didn't throw any picks.
No fumbles either, even more important.
I know, but I don't understand why we can all agree this is a running football team, right? And last week, Lamar was in the same situation the Patriots were in. They made Lamar Jackson a passer, and it obviously wasn't enough to beat the Patriots defense. So now you have a worse Texans defense compared to the Patriots secondary, and Cam Newton can't even beat the Texans secondary? Like, he didn't have that good of a game throwing the ball. If a fifth of his yards came on one play, they were playing from behind in the second half, and the Texans have a bottom 5 secondary.
Look, here's how I feel about this game. Strictly, the first word I would say, like Michael said, nail in the coffin, but the word I come up with is disappointing. This drops the Patriots to a 7% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, crushing.
So
this would have put us back to 500 this week.
And you know what? The door would have opened. The Dolphins lost. The door would have been completely open.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing about the Patriots defense. They didn't have one pick, sack, fumble, touchdown, nothing the whole game. I really think
Watson go anywhere.
Had our defense made one more stop, this would have been a completely different overtime or even just a win, not even just a straight up win.
This is and I guess tag team what you guys have said. Watson absolutely picked apart our secondary. 28 of 37 for 344 yards. He was not sacked once. Here's the most frustrating 3 things I'm going to say, and it should frustrate every single Patriots fan. We had more all-purpose yards, 399 to 435. We had a higher time of possession, 32 minutes to 27 minutes. And Cam Newton ended the game with more passing yards than Deshaun Watson, 365 to 344. Cam had a QB rating over 100, and we lost.
That's because you're relying on Cam Newton to throw the football. You don't do that. He's washed, dude. I'm gonna say it. Cam Newton's washed. You gotta bench him. Get rid of him. He's not
that I don't agree with. That I do not.
Dude, we are seeing the effects of his shoulder injuries playing out in front of us. I mean, his shoulder is shot. He can't even 60. Dude, he can't reach the end zone from the 35-yard line. You expect a quarterback to be able to reach the end zone. He can't. It was the 38-yard line. That's where they were at the final play of the game. He can't throw the ball downfield. That's my point. And don't tell me that it's because of the Texans secondary. No, he couldn't. He had to do dink and dunk plays to James White and Demir Byrd. Jacoby Myers couldn't get involved in the offense. N'Keal Harry is a wasted first-round pick. It's the Texans, dude. We all knew coming into this game. All 3 of us touched upon it. They have a bad secondary. Cam Newton should have been able to play well against them. The only good games Cam Newton has this year are against Seattle, who has the worst secondary, and the Texans, who have a bottom 5 secondary. They make opposing quarterbacks look good. Cam Newton having this game does not prove to me that he's
I really think 365 yards is not something to say bench my quarterback.
Right. And I agree. It's just
I've been saying that for weeks now. For a while.
I think this is what we're going to close out on. Michael is at the opinion of bench him. I don't think me and Will are there yet after a 365-yard game. We lost the game because of our defense, not because of our offense. I'm a firm believer in that. Our defense just shut the bed. We couldn't stop
I agree with that.
Deshaun Watson in the pass game for anything we had. Just fight. We're going to go around final thoughts for me. I think Mike put it really well. This is the nail in the coffin. This hurt. This just shows our straining on my brain and shocking inconsistency of this football team, and it sucks. But the Patriots just aren't it this year, and I'm hoping next year we can make a rally for it, but it's not this year.
I really like the sound of that. A win last week would have put us right back at 500. Would have changed everything. Puts us at, I believe you said, a 7% chance of making the playoffs now. Yep. It's tough. It's a tough outlook.
Mike.
The Patriots have been in a 1-score game at the 2-minute warning, or they have the ball with the chance to either tie or take the lead and win. They've been in that situation 5 times. They've emerged victorious once against the Jets. If you flip, maybe things change a little bit. Maybe you are on the outside looking in potentially with a playoff spot. But they're just not consistent enough, and they can't close out games.
I'm with you.
So, yeah.
I think that's all well put. Let's move on. Let's keep moving. Move with our season. Let's talk Patriots Cardinals. Mike, start us off.
gonna be a lot a lot harder for Patriots fans. I will say that the Cardinals are very similar to the Texans, and where they both have mobile quarterbacks who are very good at passing the football. Also, good passing offenses with their running offenses. Kind of lagging behind, but the Cardinals have a much better running offense than the Texans do. But for some reason, the Cardinals are only favored by 2.5. I don't get that. I would take them in a heartbeat. I don't know why, but if the Patriots are going to somehow win this game, they're going to need to stick to the run game, something they couldn't do last game against the Texans. Arizona gives up the 10th most rushing yards per game in the league, and they also need to get out to an early lead. They have been playing much better in the first quarter, and they need to continue that trend because Arizona gives up the 5th most first quarter points. You got to capitalize early. I think you cannot let Kyler Murray have all the time in the world. That's something that Will loved the comment he had earlier about, no fumbles, interceptions, sacks, really anything that the Patriots had. If you're going to do that again with Kyler Murray, he's going to torch you just like Deshaun Watson did. You have to make him feel uncomfortable, and you have to control the game clock, and maybe you have a shot then, but I have the Cardinals winning this one.
Yeah, I also have the Cardinals winning this one, but I'm going to take more of a defensive approach. The Cardinals have a very, very middle-of-the-road defense. Nothing too crazy, nothing horrible. The one thing they can do, though, is get to the quarterback. Every game that they've had at least a sack in, it's been at least 3 times. They're more of an offensive-heavy team also. They rely on their offense to win games. Again, their defense is middle of the road, but last week they gave up 30 points and still won. I would say they're definitely relying on their offense. So we are definitely going to have to step it up on defense after last week if we want a chance at emerging victorious over Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
Look, this is a really I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be awesome to watch. D-Hop versus Gilmore, Cam versus Kyler. Obviously, Kyler's having an MVP caliber year. Like Will said, a very strong offense. But I think the defense we can take advantage of. They allow the 9th most yards to running backs in the NFL, and their average in the pass game, they're 14th in the league. One thing the Cardinals have done a great job, I think, as Will mentioned, is they do a great job getting to the quarterback. So if we want a chance, we need our offensive line to make some plays. Here's the thing. Their O-line hasn't been really golden either. So taking advantage of stopping Kyler Murray will definitely be key. What it comes down to for me is this. The Patriots secondary is clearly off, and stopping the run, especially what we've seen last week against stopping running quarterbacks with Hopkins and Kyler. I think we're going to see a very similar tune. Kyler and Deshaun Watson, I think, are, like Will mentioned before, no sacks, no fumbles, no interceptions, just nothing. I don't see them stopping this high caliber of a team with Hopkins and Kyler on the team.
Yeah.
Cardinals win in a close one, 24-21.
Yeah, I've got win, another close. Still, I've also got a close game, 27-24.
There's no way it's gonna be that close, guys. I'm sorry, but there's no shot. I mean, you lose to the Texans, who are, in my opinion, just a much worse version of the Cardinals with a better defense and a better overall offense on basically all fronts. I've got the Cardinals winning this one 35-17.
Yeah, that is true, but however, you did say the Patriots play very inconsistent football.
I was going to say the exact same. Dude, they might, like I said, they could drop it to the Texans, but they might beat the Ravens. Do you know what I mean? You'll never know.
Yeah. We'll have to see what we get this week, though.
But I got to say, I'm excited for this game. My final thoughts on this. I think it's going to be a little tighter than Michael thinks, but what it comes down to for me is that this is a really good matchup for the Cardinals. I think the Patriots, they're going to keep it close. I think if they're off a bad game, they're going to have a better one, but I think it's going to be too much for this overpowered offense.
Yeah, I hate to say it again. It's because this feels like every week. It's another must-win week for us.
Always is. Yeah.
It's felt that way since like week 5.
Yeah. Arizona's coming up by 3, 27-24.
Boys, next up, Happy Turkey Day. It's Thanksgiving.
Happy Turkey Day.
Let's talk. I want to open with Lions Texans.
Okay.
Will,
start
us off.
All right. Keeping it brief, Deshaun Watson is coming off a fantastic game. The Lions are 23rd against the pass this year.
Oof.
I don't know. I'm thinking Houston comes out on top 30-24. Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks looked like real weapons last week. It was the Patriots defense, but the Lions aren't fantastic either. So I'm saying that trend continues. Another good week for Deshaun Watson. He will come out on by 6.
I gotta say, what terrible Thanksgiving games.
Yeah.
I know. I was looking at the
looked
record
good too when you had the Steelers and Ravens on the
Steelers
dock.
Ravens
And
would have
then,
been so awesome.
yeah.
Actually, okay. I do have a lot to say about the Cowboys.
Yeah, I do too.
Not great record. I think the Cowboys are interesting.
Just my 2 cents on the whole Lions Texans thing. So the spread is Houston -3 and Texans versus Lions over under is 51.5, which I think is a little high. I would go for the under in this game. If
They're both offensive teams, though.
Yeah,
I
with
can see
weak
it.
defense, that's yeah.
I don't know. I would personally go for the under, but hey, who am I? For any Thanksgiving nerds out there, the Lions record on Thanksgiving is 37-40-2. I just throw that little tidbit in there. So look, we talked about the Texans. Deshaun Watson is more or less, I don't want to say their entire team, but he is a huge part of their team. The Lions have come off yet another terribly disappointing year. These teams are not great. It's
classic Lions, though. Disappointing year after disappointing year.
It's like it's a bad matchup versus different parts of their teams. So, like, for example, a Lions terrible offensive line, but a Texans lower than average sacks per game at 19th. It's just bad matchup after bad matchup, which I almost think makes it an even interesting game. I think there's no significant edge to either team, to be completely honest, but there's one reason why I say a certain team. I chalk it up to confidence and momentum. The Texans beat us relatively commandingly, and starting something that is working with Cooks and Fuller, who Will said looked like real weapons. The Lions have nothing going. Texans win this one in overtime, 30-31.
Overtime. Wow. Okay, that's a prediction. I agree. I think it's going to be kind of close, but I've got Houston winning it. I love the confidence and, just momentum take by Pat because, again, the Texans rolled against the Patriots and the Detroit Lions put up a huge game last week.
Yeah.
They had a goose egg. They put up 0 points last week.
Texans are going to take this one.
Their defense has been playing much better as of late. Houston's defense, they're only allowing 18 points per game over the last 3 games, which is 4th best in the league. Obviously, their offense is really good. I'm going to take the Texans in this one. I'm going to say 31, 20. I'll say 31-20. I'll take out the Texans in this one.
Very fair, very fair. Let's talk Cowboys Washington.
You know, Pat, I want you to kick this one off. You haven't kicked any off yet.
Yeah.
I'd love to. So the Cowboys see light is what I want to open with. Andy Dalton finally got something going against the Vikings, taking, I think, a relatively shocker win, which was needed to keep their, I can't believe I'm saying this, playoff hopes alive in this absolute dumpster fire of a division. So ridiculous that they're 3-7 and they're fighting for a playoff spot. That makes me angry. Elliott looked like an idiot.
That makes me very happy.
Ezekiel Elliott looked like an idiot against this Washington defense weeks ago. Shockingly, Washington is 5th in sacks this year and have actually gotten some sense of how to stop teams on 3rd down, which they've never been able to do in the past. What it comes down to for me is Antonio Gibson. He was a force to be reckoned with against a struggle with the Cowboys defense. I give Washington an edge on Turkey Day, 17-7, low scoring game, but Washington pulls through in the end.
Wow.
I agree. I definitely see a low scoring game with this one, in my opinion. I mean, this is actually going to be a pivotal game for the NFC East, who has a 3-way tie for 2nd place, and the Eagles only leading by half a game.
Oh my God.
Dallas surprisingly looked good last week against the Vikings.
I don't think that was surprising.
Really?
Yes. And I have some stuff to say. They have an NFL quarterback back. They were playing with Ben DiNucci. I think that really, really handicapped their team. They were not being displayed how they normally would have. Andy Dalton is a NFL. I think he could even be a franchise quarterback, not for the Cowboys. They have Dak, but he's good enough. He can play at that
franchise backup.
Sure. No, I think he's still capable of running an NFL team. And he obviously showed that. They won the game last week. I think that is huge for their pass offense. They have all these weapons, and now they have an NFL quarterback who can throw to him. Cowboys are taking this one by 6, 27-21.
Wow.
I think Andy Dalton's kind of like he's like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's like a guy you have on your
Yeah.
team. He's like the waiting guy. Like you're waiting to have a high draft pick so you can draft like your next rookie superstar quarterback. He's kind of like in the waiting period.
He's like the fun cousin who comes on Thanksgiving and all of you in football, but you never saw it coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I got the good old Washington in this one.
I got the Cowboys.
Yeah, Washington destroyed Dallas last time the two teams met, winning 25-3, and I think their defense is going to carry them once again to a victory. I've got Washington winning this one in a relatively low-scoring game, 22-10.
Yeah, I got my money on Andy Dalton this week.
All right.
Good stuff, man.
It's a tough bet.
I think the most exciting part of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Right
Tough
about
bet.
now, we are opening with hot takes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would direct your attention to my screen, but I've made a little purchase for the podcast. It is a nice flag that I will be throwing at takes I hate. So I think Mike is going to be getting a lot of it. We'll see.
I'm not surprised.
Will, open up.
All right. My hot take of this year is about the Cowboys, actually. The Cowboys are going to win the NFC East.
Okay.
Now, the NFC East is still very much up for grabs. They're taking a dub. They're currently 3-7. Now, that sounds like the worst prediction ever, maybe. But as we all know, the NFC East is horrendous. And their remaining schedule is Washington, the Ravens, Bengals, Niners, Eagles, and Giants.
Doable.
That is a very winnable schedule. The only game that I would be even remotely worried about would be the Baltimore Ravens. However, if the Patriots can beat that team like they did, I think the Cowboys with Andy Dalton and their now elevated passing game can almost even win out. You know what? No, that's my bold prediction. The Cowboys are the rest of the season.
Wow.
That's bold.
Wow.
Flag down. Flag down. Will, I was just about to compliment you and say, I'm not throwing this. Flag down. No.
That is a bold take.
Come on.
No, dude, you know what? I don't I disagree. Okay. I don't think they're gonna win out. But it's not completely unreasonable. You get the Bengals without Joe Burrow, who've looked like mad this entire year. 49ers have lost 3 straight, ton of injuries. And then Giants, in their own division. And then I saw Eagles. That's not tough.
That's what I'm saying.
No. I actually agree with Will. I'm with him that I actually think they're going to end up winning the division. Honestly, they should drop them down to the CFL or the XFL. They should just
I like
back
it.
to college.
Yeah, it's
back to NCAA.
But I like the call. Mike, I'm interested in yours.
All right, so I don't think there's gonna be a flag down. I've got a good feeling about this one.
Okay.
But I was doing my notes. I see the outline, and I was very sad because I'm like, guys, there's no fantasy football this week, so I thought I've got to incorporate fantasy football in some sort of way. So I'm doing it with my hot take of the 2020 season. It's actually going to revolve around the 2021 season because I think that DeAndre Swift should be a second-round draft pick in next year's fantasy football season.
That isn't
draft. I think that DeAndre Swift should be a number 2 pick.
No flag. I like that.
Let's go. No flag. I'll take it.
He was a nobody. He really came out of nowhere this season.
Here's my reason. I think it was like a second-round draft pick or something. Here's my reason, though. DeAndre Swift went on a tear for a little while. He had like a 100-yard, 2-touchdown game. And then Matt Patricia decided to run them into a committee. So we had 5 in fantasy. And the week after, he had 80 rushing yards and 60 receiving yards and 2 more touchdowns. It's like, oh my God, this guy looks awesome, right? So then he went down with a concussion last week.
Yeah.
And I was really worried because I'm thinking to myself, there are 2 other running backs in Detroit, Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson, right? If either of them even goes over like 70 rushing yards, then he's gonna not even just lose his job, but be in more of a committee. It's gonna be really like 33, and he's never gonna be able to see like a starting role that you draft him to be because it's gonna be more of a committee. Well, last week they combined for under 30 rushing yards. Combined for under 30 rushing yards. DeAndre Swift has the starting job won. Okay. And if the rumors are correct and Matt Patricia is going to get canned after the season and they have a new coach coming in and they like DeAndre Swift and they say, oh, yeah, we spent a second round draft pick on this guy. He's really good. Adrian Peterson is washed. He might retire. And Kerryon Johnson has been battling injuries the last 8 years. We're
You
going to
think
give
Matt?
the keys to DeAndre Swift because he's our future of the offense. That he's going to be a workload. And he
So
is
Matt
going to
Patricia
be
done
a
in
second round pick.
Detroit?
Yeah, he's been on the hot seat for a while now because he's had 3 straight just poor seasons, including this year. So his name's definitely being thrown around as being a potential firing candidate. But
No,
I love DeAndre Swift next year.
I like it. I like the call. I've
Yeah.
been a DeAndre.
Let's go.
Oh, backed up by some good
Let's
evidence.
go.
And I'm with it. And all the reasons Mike brought up is really good. The two guys that are in that quote committee, they're on their way out, man. DeAndre Swift is the future. I like the call.
Let's go.
So
I got Pat's approval. I love it.
Now we got Pat.
mine might stir a little controversy. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not.
Hand me the flag real quick.
Yeah.
I've got school on Monday, so we can't make this too long.
Okay. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to the AFC Championship.
All right, that's gonna do it for this week. I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys for.
All right, yeah. Okay, let's talk. So,
Pat.
listen, it is most likely that the Steelers will be the number 1 seed. It is also most likely that the Chiefs will be the number 2 seed. It is also most likely that the Raiders will be the number 7 seed. Michael, do you know who plays the number 2 seed this year?
7 seed.
Mike, it's the 7 seed, meaning that the Kansas City Chiefs will be going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Hey, Mike, I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
What is the Chiefs' only loss to this year?
It's funny you ask because it's actually the team that you think is going to go to the AFC Championship, Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, you're right. That's the point.
I
The
know.
Raiders won. That's the point. So
Hey, I'm sorry. Just refresh my memory one more time for me. Who won last week?
Chiefs, first of all, barely snuck out of that game. What I'm saying is that it's doable, and I'm going to open with this. I smell an upset. They are 1-1 against each other this year, like you said, which easily could have been 2-0 for the Raiders, meaning they would have to. This is the tough part. Meaning they would.
I heard Pat's voice like Trev, like, oh no.
Yeah.
I knew this was coming. Meaning they would have to play the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's one weakness, and a lot of quarterbacks face this, is that he is terrible at throwing the deep ball. Luckily, that is where the Raiders sometimes struggle too. So it evens out. Where the Raiders excel is their front defense.
They do give up the 7th most yards per game in the league. Their defense isn't good.
Their defense is really good. What are you saying?
7th most yards per game.
Dude, Max Crosby?
One guy who I would say 90% of fans don't even know.
The pass rusher can slow it down, dude. And a Derek Carr, Darren Waller, and Josh Jacobs offense, I see this team doing some serious damage in the playoffs.
I have been a fan of Derek Carr in general. I don't know how well he does in the playoffs.
All right. Well, I see this team going very far, Mike.
So, Pat, I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
So Pat, you have them upsetting the Chiefs, right? I'm not even going to argue with that. Let's say they do, okay? And then let's just say, just for jokes, they upset the Steelers too. So they're in the AFC Championship. And in my opinion, I think that the Steelers and Chiefs, in no specific order, are the 2 best teams in the AFC. So if you then beat both of those teams, why not just go to the Super Bowl? What is it for you that's stopping them from going to the Super Bowl? If you beat the number 1 and number 2 teams,
You're not gonna
why
like
can't they go to the Super Bowl?
You want me to say it?
The Titans ran out of steam.
The Tennessee Titans. Tennessee
Yeah,
Titans. Super Bowl.
Titans ran out.
I mean, it's one team though.
What's up?
But like the Titans is just like one example of a team. I don't think that
No,
the Raiders,
I'm saying that the Tennessee Titans are going to beat the Raiders in the AFC Championship.
they're going to the Super Bowl.
That's right. I'm feeling very good about my Tennessee Titans.
Haven't they lost like 3 out of the last 4 games or something?
Mike, I'm gonna go right back at you. On Mr. TikTok's TikTok page, you had them going to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
I
Mr.
know, and I rescinded it. I took it back.
Look, here's
I
the
took it
deal.
back.
I
I accepted defeat.
I have Derek Carr and the Raiders going very far into the AFC Championship, hopefully. Mike has DeAndre Swift going as a second-round pick, which I really like, actually. And Will Casey has the dumpster fire Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East. Boys, fantastic.
Okay, sure. We'll go with that.
Oh yeah, you got something else, Will?
No, they're winning out.
And winning out. No. We're throwing that in, Will. We are throwing that in.
Okay. Boys, fantastic podcast. Even better Thanksgiving. On behalf of the 4-1 podcast, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Eat some turkey. Stay with your family. Don't spread the COVID. I love all of you. This wraps up this week's episode of the 4-1 podcast. I'm Pat Daly signing off.
Will Casey signing off.
Michael Quattromani signing off.
This is the 4-1 podcast, and we'll see you next week. Let's go, boys.
Let's go.
All right.